asking David some questions on how he started out in business and his tips and advice for all you budding entrepreneurs out there. So David, welcome to the live business TV stage. So tell us a little bit about how you started out in business, you know, the difficulties that you had to overcome when you first started out.
Well, I actually started out in the East End of London, and I was born in the East End and in abject poverty. And it was that abject poverty that actually drove me. You know, nobody wants to be in abject poverty, so I sort of clawed my way out, if you like, of the East End of London, out of the poverty, and it was that, you know, fighting for survival and then the opportunity of selling items outside my house. I was very lucky that I lived on a main road, and we put a little stall, a wooden stall outside the front of the house, and we would sell things that we made. And I remember, as a 11-year-old boy, we were making Christmas garlands. My mother was making them, and we were helping her. And what I did was that we were selling these garlands just before Christmas on the stall outside our house. And if you like, that was really the beginning of that entrepreneurial spirit, that desire to work hard and buy cheap and sell dear. And that really was the very beginning. That was the first step.
You started at a very, very young age, 11.
Yeah, well, I was coming on 32.
And at what point in your career did you realise that, you know, you really were going to make it, you know, as a big success?
I guess I can remember I had this little tiny shop in Charing Cross Road, and I looked like I was going to go bust, and I went to the bank manager to borrow £500, and he turned me down, and I went back again, and he turned me down. Then I went to another bank manager, and he turned me down, and then another bank, and they turned me down. But every time I went, I realised that I was gaining experience. It was awful, you know, being turned down. You knew that if you didn't raise this money pretty soon, you're going to go bust, and that would be the end of it. But each time I got stronger and stronger, and then eventually this bank manager, Westminster Bank, as I remember, and he lent me £700. So, you know, that really saved me, and I was on my way. I had this small little bookshop, and I began to make money. But, you know, nothing's forever in life. And all of a sudden, the landlord comes into me and he says, "Your lease is up." And no, that can't be. You know, I'm just beginning to be successful, and here you are throwing me out of my little shop. But from that adversity, and remember, I'd endured adversity as a young man, a young boy, and here I was experiencing adversity again. I just made it. I got myself a car with a heater and a radio. I remember, I was very proud of that. And then suddenly this adversity. But bizarrely, from that adversity came an extraordinary thing, because had I not been thrown out of my shop, I'd probably still be there to this day. So in a way,
it led to more opportunities.
It led to more opportunities, and I actually went out and I swore I would never ever have a lease again. Incidentally, I have 150 leases today, so be careful ever saying never, never. But then what I did, I went out and bought 4 stores, and those 4 stores, 10 years later, I sold 2 of them for £10 million. So, you know, had that not happened, as I say, I would still be in those stores today. So sometimes when things go wrong, don't always see them as, oh, I'm so unlucky. I remember saying, oh, I'm so unlucky. But when I look back, that was fantastic luck.
Yeah, it was meant for the right reason. And I think, you know, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out here today that perhaps would have given up, you know, if they'd have been rejected by the bank manager 7, 8, 9 times over. And, you know, it's like our last guest said, you really do. Everyone gets setbacks in business, and you have to rise above them, and you have to get up and keep knocking on those doors. So well done to you for that. And tell us a little bit more about some of the setbacks that you've encountered during your business career.
Well, setbacks, I mean, you know, every businessman will tell you that in his rise to success, it's encountering those setbacks that makes you stronger. And time again, luck plays a big part in all of this. And one of the skills is to weather that bad luck, to be able to bounce back from it. And if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And that's really what's happened to me. I mean, I've had many moments of bad luck when I've thought. I remember opening my first Ann Summers store. The bad luck of again, it was a landlord who was saying, you can't display these products, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you had to be strong. There are many examples. I remember one particular time, this is many years ago, when I had my shop, and I used to stay open late, and I used to open on Sundays. Well, there used to be a law that you couldn't open Sundays, and I used to think this law is absolutely ridiculous. So in a way, you also need courage. And
Breaking the mould.
I would stay open despite the law, despite the rules, and then I'd get fined 30 shillings, 30 days to pay, and
but you'd have made far more opening the shop on a Sunday.
And exactly, and that's. But you had to have that courage, because it's quite scary going to a magistrate. And I remember the magistrate saying to me, "Oh no, not you again, Gold," because it'd be the 30th time that I'd been arrested for keeping my shop open. And but then again, that piece of luck, because I remember him saying to me, "Gold," because I was selling magazines, I was selling books. It was predominantly a science fiction, a little science fiction shop. And he said, "Gold, why don't you sell periodicals, and you wouldn't have all these problems?" And of course, that's what changed that store. I then realized he was telling me if I sell periodicals, my shop could open on a Sunday. So I added a few periodicals to my stock, and I stopped getting arrested. But you have to be courageous.
And you're here today with us to
share
the stories. Thank goodness.